Today we're making the mythical and oh so creepy thieves tool known as the Hand of Glory. So stay tuned. Greetings adventurers and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So last week I made an artifact from the myth of the Baba Yaga, and I think I'm kind of hooked on it. You can check out that episode up here, by the way. Not necessarily hooked on just that myth, but like making cool items and creepy items, especially for this time of year, centered around a myth. And since for some reason, whenever I'm in games or whatever, I always end up being some sort of a ne'er-do-well, I figured this next one is perfect. Basically, the mythical artifact known as the Hand of Glory is a severed hand from a hanged criminal. It's usually the left hand unless they committed a murder, and then it's whichever hand did the deed. Now, in this hand or on this hand or somehow part of this hand is a candle made from the fat of the hanged man. Super dark, right? But basically, this thing gives you some magical abilities as a thief, or it has the magical abilities, you just get to use them. Now, this ranges depending on the source, but it goes everywhere from like only the thief can see the light, it unlocks all doors in front of you, and it immobilizes everybody who's like in the house you're stealing from. It is a macabre thieves tool from Legend, and I can't wait to make it. So without much further ado, let's jump right into this. Now, since the severed hands of recently hung criminals is really thin on the ground for some reason, we're gonna have to make a facsimile of this somehow. To do that, I actually got this adorable hand casting kit from Amazon. It's meant to be like you're a couple holding hands or something sweet like that, which gives me a perverse joy to turn it into something as dark as this. I don't know why, it's just who I am, I guess. But if you don't get this kit, you could still get the composite parts and still make this happen. Basically, you're going to need a bucket that is large enough for you to fit your hand in the orientation you want to fit it in. For me, I want it like this, so it's like holding the candle, but you can make it like this so it's holding the candle, or even like this and make the actual fingertips the candle. Just depends on what you want. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be casting this in this stuff, which is alginate. This is the same stuff dentists use to take impressions of your teeth. So I just dump the alginate into this bucket, and I actually end up adding a little bit of extra alginate that I had lying around from other projects. Mostly because I thought they didn't give enough for how much I would like it to come up my arm, and I was actually correct on this. So if you're going to do this, either have something that is thinner so that your arm takes up more space, or just buy some extra alginate. Because again, it's made for like two hands in a loving embrace. Not just one creepy hand doing creepy things, I guess. I don't know. Now you're gonna notice when you start mixing this stuff, it turns pink. You'll also notice if you use this kit that the flimsy spoons they give you, they are not strong enough for this. So I just kind of went in there with my mitts and made sure everything was mixed in nicely. You kind of want it to be the consistency of like overcooked oatmeal, I've heard it called. Just really kind of thick and goopy. Once all the white powder was gone and I was happy with the consistency, I just put my hand in it in the position that I wanted and waited. You'll know when it's done because you'll see it turn from pink to white, and then you'll actually be able to touch it and it feels firm to the touch. By the way, I'm filming alone down here, so every like camera move or whatever, I have a bucket attached to my hand and I'm just like walking in the background touching stuff. Terrible. Not only that, but when I went to take it off of my hand, there was definitely a trouble moment where I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to get this out. But just by kind of flexing your hand around a little bit and moving, eventually the suction lets go and you're able to slide right out, leaving you with a void where your hand was. Which is hopefully, hand-shaped. It's hard to tell from that angle, but, All right, so the next step is going to be filling that with something to take up that shape, right? But before we do, I really didn't like how short the wrist was on there. I wanted some more meat to that bone. It's supposed to be like a torch you can hold, right? So in order to do that, I actually found these little yard skeleton hands at Michael's, which are perfect for this purpose. All I do is unscrew this hand bit, and I'm just left with the arm bones. I figured I could use those so they're just kind of sticking out of the bottom and then figure out a way to blend the two together later on. For now though, we're gonna fill this hand cavity with this stuff, which I'm pretty sure is just a really fine plaster, or it could be like a hydra stone maybe. Which is actually what I think it is, because look at how like wet it looks once it's mixed with the right amount of water. I was actually very worried about that. I thought it was too wet looking, but I actually think that's exactly what we want, because then it takes up all of the detail, right? It's wet enough that it gets into every little nook and cranny. Just make sure that you tap the sides of your mold enough to get all the little air bubbles out. Once I was happy with that, I just carefully put my arm bones into place and used a little clamp on a stick just to hold it there. From there, I had to wait about 4 hours and I got a little impatient. So I figured I'd show you really fast if you wanted to do this without having to take a mold of your hand. We could actually use those same little skeleton hands that I got from Michael's there. They come in a bunch of different positions. I actually ended up choosing this one that had the OK symbol. Basically, all I did was take a saw and cut that little OK symbol so that it would separate those fingers. I also just took off the hand and turned it around so that I could bend all the way in the position that I really needed it to. Now it's like this, but I still want it to be in this position so it could hold the candle. Luckily, the whole thing is plastic, so all I had to do was hit it with my heat gun until the fingers got kind of soft, and then I used a pair of pliers to bend the fingers into the position I wanted to. Honestly, it only took me about 10 minutes with a little bit of this melting and bending to get it in almost exactly the same position my hand is in. Then to keep the hand in position relative to the arms, I just hit the whole thing with a little bit of super glue. This is going to help just kind of lock it into that position and make sure it doesn't drop my candle. Now you can of course just leave it like this, paint that hand, it is the bony hand of the thief, and then put a little LED candle in the middle, you're done. But if you want to make it look goopy and kind of rotted, you can just bust out some of this latex here, along with just a whole bunch of cotton balls. All you do is tear the cotton balls apart a little bit, dip it into the latex, and then carefully place it onto the hand, mimicking where like muscle and fat would be. This is a lot of fun just to kind of build up and try to make it look like a gross rotted hand. It'll end up looking something like this here. From here, all you gotta do is paint it, maybe glue a little LED candle onto there, and there you have it. That isn't what this episode is about, but if you want to see how I'd go about painting it, you can check out this episode here where I did it with a monkey's paw. I just wanted to show you that there's like a super cheap and fun alternative way to do this. Not that this one is very expensive at all. I think that hand kit cost me like $24 or something. It was great. Oh, and look, I can still do the little hand-holdy thing. Isn't that cute? Also, the world's creepiest back scratcher. Actually, it really works. It's nice. I always gotta fidget with my hands. Speaking of, I wanted to shout out my favorite fidget device and today's sponsor, Fume. Fume is a flavored air device that does exactly what it says. It flavors the air as you take it into your mouth. And as I said, it is by far one of my favorite fidget toys. It's like clicky, it's good weight, I can chew on it. Now, I've been showing these off on the show for a while, and I know a bunch of you have actually taken the plunge and trying it out. But I also know some of you have been on the fence about trying it, which is why it's really cool that Fume now makes these little bad boys. Behold, Fume Zero. This bad boy is awesome because it offers a lot of the same features. You can fidget with it, you can kind of chew on it. There's also no nicotine, vape, you don't have to replace any batteries. But the nice bit is it's only like $24.99 to get started and try out some flavors. This one here is Peach Blush, and it's really, really tasty. I like this one. But yeah, this makes it easy to start, try it out, gives you 10 days worth of flavor at a really great price. If you want to give it a try, just click on the link below or check out my QR code here to get yours today. So convenient. Wonderful. Now where were we? Oh right, at this point, our plaster was all ready to be demolded. So I very carefully removed all the alginate to expose this perfect hand. I feel like I'm like patting myself on the back, talking about like this perfect, look at this beautiful specimen of a hand. Oh my. But seriously, there was like, you could even see the veins underneath my skin. Creepy, it's really perfect. Now, if you want to, you can use some like watered down paint or some dye or something and actually add it directly to the plaster, and that plaster will drink it in. My issue with that is it can be a little bit uneven because the plaster is going to drink it in at different rates, and I really didn't want to go that route. So instead, I busted out some of this shellac here and just added a couple of light coats so that I could paint onto it rather than letting the paint suck into it. And just because for this one I want to add an actual candle to it, I did want to make sure it wasn't like super flammable now. So I just went ahead and used my lighter to make sure the shellac didn't want to like combust immediately. It did not, which is great. I'm not going to be leaving this unattended. It's more for the look. You're only supposed to light it after all when you're committing crimes, and I don't do that much. Anywho, satisfied that that is safe-ish, I guess, I decided to use these two Army Painter paints, which is just like a flesh tone and a blue, and then use this stuff to thin it out. I'm basically looking for a really pale, kind of dead flesh tone. How I'd imagine my hand would look if all of the blood had drained from it. It's a real creepy thought. This whole thing is real creepy. I love it. And I'm super happy with this mix. Like, look at it. So pale and nasty looking. And again, because I have the shellac on, it's actually sitting right on top of it, so that pigment is going a long way. Though it's a little flat here, I want to make it look grimy and gross. But I also want to protect that color. I don't want it to get too dark. So I hit it again with some shellac just to seal what I've already done. And then busted out this shader here, which basically acts almost the same way an antique does with leather. It's just going to darken up all the little cracks and crevices and really make the whole thing have a lot more character and detail. But first I went in with some reddish brown paint just to touch up all the spots that honestly there were like air bubbles and stuff in the mold, making the bug a feature. Now it looks like those are just areas that were broken open before the man was hung. With that all done, like I said, I just busted out this shader here, smearing it all over the place and then wiping it off, which is gonna let it settle into all the cracks and crevices and really add a lot more depth and detail to this thing. Also make it look just grimy. Look at that. Oh my God, it's so cool. The only mistake I think I made on that is the shellac I'm using, I think is a glossier shellac. I probably would have gone with a flat one because it's a little bit too shiny. The shininess makes it look like a prop. I don't like that. I did find out that if I add like a baby powder to it or something, it takes a lot of that gleam away. But yeah, if I had to do it again, I'd use a flatter thing. But now it came time to figure out kind of where the end of the wrist and those bones meet, because I really didn't like it meeting sharp like that. But I figured out the easiest way to do this is just to wrap the entire thing in paper to bulk it out. Now, because I'm comically bad at my job, I didn't show you, but after I wrapped it with paper, I just wrapped it in tape to keep it all bundled like that. I didn't show you wrap it in tape, just wrap it in tape, it's easy. But once that was bulked out, I also wrapped the entire thing in this rough rope here, just kind of tying it off to one bone at the end. And then I tied this little noose type knot here to be where it hooks onto your wrist because I thought it was thematic, right? That rope, that kind of rope, and then a little noose, and it's a hanged man's hand. Come on, come on. That was pretty good, I thought. Now for one last little detail, this is not how like the bone in your arms end here in like a convenient to screw in little piece. So I wanted that to be cut and look real jagged. This was dead easy though. I just went in with a saw and cut this end piece off. And then I used my Dremel to just hollow out the ends so they looked like bones, like where marrow would go. Then I painted the whole thing with a pallid bone paint, and again finished it off with that shader. And that looks creepily good. That looks so good. Now to finish this kind of base look, I wanted to dirty up that rope as well. Just throwing some stain on it here and there and just kind of making it look like it was used. Like the body snatchers that cut this limb off, did it in a hurry, wrapped it in a rope and ran. Now the final touch to this thing is adding the candle to it, and I did this in just the simplest way possible. I started by grabbing a whole bunch of wax and just kind of putting it in his palm, and then using this lighter here to melt it some. I let some of it dribble down the front of his hand to look like it's been used before, and the rest of it I used to just kind of smush a candle into, which does a really great job locking this candle into place. Then I melted the top a little bit to make it look a little less clean, and lit that bad boy up. Look at that. Look at how freaking cool. Well, I got a lighter, hold on. Let's check it out. It is so cool. This thing is horrible. The best ways. I love it so much. The little wax drippings kind of coming down it are great. And honestly, like when you're walking, if you're walking this way, it can blow out. But this way, the fingers actually protect it. It is honestly kind of a decent light. Like as far as torches go, it is a decent torch. Not only that, but because of the shape of it, if you have a little wall sconce or something, just put it in, all that. It'll sit in a little wall sconce and hold your can. Oh, I love it so much. Now, if I was using this in like a LARP event or something, obviously I wouldn't have an open flame. I'd probably just kind of glue an LED candle on there or something. Or maybe like implant a little magnet into there and then you can just stick a little candle on and, you know, pick it up, turn it on whenever you need to. But for just kind of a little prop, like a quick little, oh, look at that. Oh, I love that so much. And it is epically creepy that it's my hand. It's very much my hand. Oh my God, it's so cool. Look at it, it's stupidly neat. I love it so much. And the little bones coming out of the bottom, it looks great. I know I've done a good job when I bring something up and my wife goes, oh. That's what I'm looking for as the reaction. But tell me what you think. Is this creepy enough? Do you like how it came out? Leave in the comment section below. I'd love to hear maybe how you do it differently, or if there's another kind of cool mythological thing you'd like me to make. I'm really enjoying making these kind of folklore-y, creepy things around this time of year. It's perfect. Also, if you liked what I did here today, why don't you give me some of that like it love, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when I release new content. In the meantime, though, keep leveling up, you. You've made it to the end screen. YouTube loves it when you do that, and it's a great way to support this channel. Another great way to support this channel is by joining these people's noble ranks. These are our Patreon members, and we couldn't do any of this creepy stuff without them. A special shout out to our Grand Master tier Patreon members, WildFox99, Froggy, and Dragon Designs. Again, it is incredible that you guys support us in this way, and it makes all the difference in the world. If you'd like to support what we do here, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description below. Or you can click on one of these videos that YouTube thinks you'd like, and that helps out a lot too. All right, I gotta go not commit crimes with my new toy. Yeah, nope, no crimes to see here.